When a man doesn't know how to properly lead and he doesn't have strong boundaries and he's not really confident in himself, one of the things that you will experience when you are dating him or in a relationship with him is he will get passive aggressive with you. He will make backhanded comments. He will be manipulative. He will give you the silent treatment. He will be moping around. He will be doing all kinds of things other than just directly leading and solving the issue. And this will be extremely frustrating for you. It will often bring up a lot of anxiety for you. And it's also likely to bring up a lot of resentment. And what I'm going to be talking about in this video is why men do this. Just frustrate the heck out of you. And how you actually may be contributing to it in some way or enabling it in some kind of way. And what you can do to inspire him to start shifting this pattern so that you don't have to deal with this anymore. Because this is not something that you should ever have to deal with. You don't need another child that you are taking care of. So before we get into it, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Zach Rohde. I am here to lead you into creating the relationship of your dreams using your feminine energy and what I call feminine communication to inspire a man into cherishing you. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you do that below. Hit the notification bell and be sure to like this video because, of course, I'm going to make sure it is a very good one for you. So the reason that men get passive aggressive is because they don't know how to lead. They actually do not feel comfortable leading. And so when they're unable to lead because of their own internal resistance, they will build up frustration, and that frustration will be taken out in other unhealthy kind of ways. Let's talk a little bit before we go further about examples of passive aggressive behavior. So I'm just going to read this out because otherwise I'll miss them if I just do it from my head. So silent resistance, giving the silent treatment. Sulking, withdrawing instead of addressing the issue, backhanded compliments or sarcasm, saying anything that sounds nice on the surface but carries a sting underneath, procrastination or stalling, deliberately delaying tasks he agreed to do. It's a form of quiet defiance, forgetting to do things properly, intentionally being careless with commitments, agreeing and then undermine, saying yes but then later doing the opposite. Avoidance, steering away from conversations, not returning calls, texts, changing the subject when confronting. And victim playing, acting like he's misunderstood or wronged whenever you try to hold him accountable. Wow, that sounds absolutely horrible for a woman to experience. Now, if a man is experiencing that from a woman, that's a big problem as well. No man likes that. I've certainly experienced that. I don't want to ever experience that again. But it is far worse when a woman experiences it with a man. And why is that? It is because of the way that you are instinctually wired. In a healthy relationship, the man is the one that is leading. He is the one that is taking care of you. He is the one that is cherishing you. And you are hopefully following him as a leader and trusting him. Right? Like so much of a woman, what you need is to be able to trust a man so that you can let go, so that you can fully receive him. And if he does not know how to lead in this way, if he doesn't feel comfortable leading, dealing with these uncomfortable situations in a mature way, like a man, then you're going to feel very anxious because your feminine instinct is wired to follow a man that is secure in himself and strong and is able to be honest and just speak the truth and have strong boundaries. And when he is passive aggressive, he demonstrates that he doesn't have that. And so now your feminine instinct is telling you he's not safe to follow. I am not safe to be with him. What if my provision disappears, right? This relationship is not stable. So that's a really unpleasant experience for a woman. As a man, right? And I've experienced this. I've experienced it with my wife. I've experienced it with past women when they're being really passive aggressive. I mean, that's annoying. I don't like it. It's a form of disrespect, absolutely. But it's not bringing up all of this anxiety for me because I'm not the one that is following a woman. I am the one that is supposed to be leading a woman. So it's much worse as a woman, and you definitely need a solution here. You can't just continue tolerating this, or if you tend to experience it in every single relationship, well, you can't continue to get back into that cycle over and over again. You're just going to be torturing yourself. You're not going to feel safe in the way that you need to be able to let go and just receive. You're not going to feel safe to be in your feminine energy, and you're actually not safe. It's not just a feeling, you're actually not safe. You're going to be feeling anxiety, you're going to be feeling fear, you might even be feeling terror at times. So the reason that a man does this, we're going to go more into it now. And we are going to talk about solutions. A man does this because he doesn't feel comfortable leading. And I know this, one of the reasons I know this, part of it is because I've worked with literally hundreds of women, and we're getting close to 100 men in our academy program. So I've seen this pattern play out so often, and I can see exactly why it's happening, but I also have experienced it myself, especially before I learned about polarity. Especially before I understood that my role in the relationship is to lead. It is to take charge. It is to be the one that is resolving issues assertively, one that's initiating to fix things. It is the one to set strong boundaries. And when I didn't realize that was my role, I actually believed that was kind of toxic and controlling. Because I didn't realize that it's okay to do that as long as a man is leading with love, right? Like if a man is devoted to his woman, his leadership isn't tyranny, right? It's not that he's better or inferior. He's 100% equal to his woman, but they're equal in different ways, right? Man leader role, woman follower role, just like a salsa dance, tango dance. That doesn't, on the dance floor, a man's not superior. It's just having a beautiful dance together in totally different roles. So I didn't understand that. And so the idea of stepping up and being the leader was very uncomfortable for me. I thought there was something wrong with that. And so when my wife would do things that were disrespectful in some way, that was not meeting my needs, where I felt frustrated in the relationship, I didn't feel comfortable to just say, hey, sweetheart, that was disrespectful what you did. Instead of doing that, do this. Or, hey, sweetheart, tell me what you're feeling right now. I can see the feelings are coming up for you, right? And like if she's doing something that's disrespectful, so I help her through her feelings. I hold space for her feelings so that we can get to what the root problem is so that she can overcome it. I didn't know how to do that. Didn't even think of doing that. And if I did know, I probably would have been, I do know I would have been really uncomfortable doing it. And so what this does is a woman is disrespecting a man in some way, and it's usually unintentional, right? In my experience working with women aren't typically trying to disrespect their man on purpose. But it's some form of disrespect which can include just judging a man or leading or questioning him or resisting his leadership or all other kinds of things. And so a man's masculine instinct is then going to feel a form of irritation. Whenever a woman is disrespecting, leading, penetrating in a relationship or dating experience, assuming his masculine instinct is online in some kind of way, he is going to feel an irritation. And that's actually a good thing. If he takes that irritation out in unhealthy ways, like any kind of passive aggressive behavior, well, that is definitely not okay. That is not acceptable. There's no justification for that. Any time that I have ever done that in my marriage or with past women, that I don't justify that. The irritation comes up, and normally when a man is really healthy and he's embodied, he is just going to feel that irritation. He's going to remain fully emotionally centered, and then he is going to use that irritation to motivate him into leading in a healthy way. Like I said, hey, sweetheart, tell me what you're feeling right now. What's going on? I'm going to help you with these feelings, right? That's healthy leadership that his masculine instinct is compelling him to do. But if he doesn't feel comfortable doing that, irritation is going to build in his system. It's going to build up. Think of it like a pressure cooker where there's no release valve, or at least the release valve hasn't activated yet. The pressure is going to build up, and it's going to build up, and it's going to build up. The pressure has to release at some point. You can't just continue building that pressure, getting more and more disrespect in some kind of way. You can't just hold on to it. And so at some point, it's going to leak out. How is it going to leak out? It's going to leak out if it can't come out from a proper release valve, right, which would be healthy leadership, then it's going to come out in unhealthy ways, maybe leaking, a gasket is starting to blow in some way. It's leaking in some way. I'm using an analogy here for anyone who's done canning. And that's going to be passive aggressive behavior. So it's going to leak out by giving you the silent treatment. It's going to leak out by backhanded compliments or sarcastic remarks, or saying that he's going to do something and he doesn't do it. That's how it's going to leak out. And then you're going to feel not good. You're going to not be able to trust him as much. And then what's going to happen? Well, you're probably going to do even more things to disrespect him unintentionally, because you're now lacking trust in him and you're starting to lose respect for him, right? Because the more that he's passive aggressive, like, that's not a very respectable way to show up as a man in a relationship or dating a woman in some way. So probably earlier on, you would look up to him like with some form of respect. But as this continues, you're just going to build up this resentment. You're going to feel like disgust in some way towards this behavior, because it is disgusting. Like, that's disgusting. It's very unattractive behavior, especially when a man does it. It's unattractive regardless of gender, but it's much worse for a man. And so the less that you respect him, the more that you lose attraction, the more that you lose connection to him, you're going to do more of the things that probably really bother him that he doesn't know how to address in a healthy, masculine way. And now what? It spirals out of control. You might also be doing passive aggressive stuff as well, right? Because you haven't been taught feminine communication. You haven't been taught how to address your issues in a really feminine, vulnerable, direct way. But regardless, it starts to spiral out of control. This is often how relationships are going to end, because it's just going to be a buildup of resentment, frustration. Nothing really gets solved. So we see this a lot in our academy program, because a lot of women that we work with are totally single. So we try to help women avoid those kind of men in the first place. But then we are also working with a lot of women who are currently with a man who's not properly embodied in his masculine energy. So he's doing a lot of passive aggressive stuff. And so what we help women do in the program, one of the things that we help women do, is how to address these issues in a feminine way. Because you can't address it in a masculine way. It's not going to work. You can't just set boundaries. You can't tell him to stop doing that. You can't judge him or nag him out of it. You can't lead him into doing something different. You can't tell him, hey, I found these videos that Zach Rohde's doing. Go check them out. Learn how to be a man. That's not going to work. And the only thing that's going to work is for you to look at yourself and see how you may be co-creating these situations. Or it's not even, you are co-creating in the sense that even if you're doing you're reasonably responsible, let's say. Even if you're reasonably responsible, even if you're using some feminine communication, if he has a lot of shame around leading, he's going to feel really uncomfortable stepping up and being the leader that you need him to be and being really direct. So what we experience with women who start using feminine communication with men who are very passive aggressive, sometimes it works. Like, we experience a relatively rapid shift. That's fantastic. That's best case scenario. Sometimes it's not that easy, because even though you're using feminine communication a lot of the time when you have issues, when he has issues with you, he still goes into little boy passive aggressive mode. How is feminine communication going to solve that? Well, it can solve that by you, again, going into using feminine communication and communicating what is coming up for you. There's actually a few things you can do. But one is you're asking for help with what you're feeling, right? The frustration, the anger, and especially the fear and maybe a sadness that's coming up. So you're asking permission for that help. May I please have some help with what's coming up? You're sharing the feelings and you're going into it. Hopefully he can step up to lead in some kind of way. Another thing that you can do is, when you know that he is doing something, like he's going into some kind of passive aggressive behavior, one of the things that we teach our clients is just ask for exactly what it is that you need. Because what you actually need in that moment, it's his direction, isn't it? It's his boundaries. It's him telling you why what you are doing is a problem and just telling you directly like a man. So can you ask for that? Yeah, you can. I mean, you could ask for that in a very leading way, like be a man, just tell me what is really on your mind. That's probably not going to work too well. Or you can ask like a woman, a feminine woman, may I please have some clarity on whether I've done something wrong? Or may I have some direction? Or may I have a boundary? Now, I'm really only covering the basics here because it would take a really long time to really dive into the nuance of feminine communication with how to properly navigate these conversations. But this is enough for you to understand these are actually your needs. You have a need for direction, for him to tell you what to do instead of, like, if something that you are doing is bothering him, then you need, and it's actually like a real problem that maybe you should be shifting, then he needs to lovingly, warmly tell you, hey, sweetheart, this is a problem. Instead of doing this, show up this way instead, right? Like if you were nagging him, for example, and then he goes into passive aggressive behavior because of that, what he should be doing is say like, hey, sweetheart, you're nagging me right now. Don't do that. If you have a problem, just come to me. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what you're feeling right now. I'll help you with your feelings. And then he actually guides you into communicating in a different way. Teaching you feminine communication is what every man should be doing. Any man who's not teaching his woman feminine communication is not being the man that he needs to be in the relationship. And that's a pretty bold statement because that's basically 99.99% of the male population. Men have not been raised properly. They really have not been raised properly. And not just like in the last 50 years, but like throughout human history. Because what men, I'm just going to go on a bit of a tangent here. What men have really done throughout history is it's like, it's my way or the highway. And like, you just have to submit. You just have to follow my leadership no matter what, even if you're not feeling good. And women would typically lack the self-worth to really speak up for themselves. And so the man wouldn't teach the woman feminine communication. It's just, you be silent. It's like, you are a second-class citizen in this relationship. If you don't like things, well, too bad. And I'm generalizing big time, but as a general rule, there was a lot of that happening. Whereas a truly healthy embodied man, he wants to make sure his woman has a voice. He doesn't want to subjugate her. He wants to make sure that she's happy. He wants to make sure that she is cherished, but he doesn't want her to be speaking in a way that is disrespectful to the masculine. So a healthy masculine man is going to lead her into using feminine communication so that she can directly, because feminine communication is direct, but in a feminine way, in a respectful way, in a vulnerable, feminine way, communicate what is coming up for her. And men typically are not doing that. And so what are the remaining choices if a man is not embodying that kind of leadership? Either going into subjugating you, it's just kind of like energetically forcing you into complying and being quiet, not a very good solution, or being passive aggressive in some kind of way. Those are really the only other two main solutions that a man is going to shift into. There's a little bit more, a little bit more nuance, but in general, that's going to be what happens. So, or a man's masculine instinct is so offline that he is just the ultimate people pleaser doormat, and that's not going to be good for you either. So none of those options are going to meet your needs as a woman. The only thing that's going to meet your needs as an option is for him to properly lead you in this really loving way. And if he doesn't know how to, because of shame, because of other issues, well, what can you do? You can ask for exactly what it is that you need. So this is what we help women do in the academy. And you're not just learning how to do it with a man, like we're telling you how to do it with a man in a relationship. You're literally practicing with us. You're learning how to communicate your needs with us asking for help with your feelings, for clarity, for reassurance, for love, for whatever it is that you basically need. And so because you're practicing it with us, while we're leading you to have a better love life, showing you all the shifts that you need to make to have a healthier love life, it now becomes so much easier for you to implement that into your love life because you've actually been practicing it. It's like when you play basketball. You're practicing basketball a bunch of times before a real game. Are you now going to be more ready for that real game because you've been doing drills all day? Yeah, of course. So that's kind of what you're doing with us. And that doesn't even just start in the academy when you're working with us. That happens literally on our calls. On my calls, my discovery calls that I would do with you before you would join the academy. So what I do is, if you are interested in potentially finding a solution like the academy to help you shift this, we would get on a call. And before we even talk about the academy, because we don't even know if it's right for you yet, I would ask you a whole bunch of questions about what is going on in your love life. And one of those answers might be, my man's really passive aggressive. He does all this really immature stuff. And so we would unpack that. And then I would ask you a bunch of questions to find out, okay, why might this be happening? Like, how are you contributing to this situation that you don't want? And then I tell you everything that I see and tell you, okay, here's how you shift it, and give you some examples of how to use feminine communication to shift it. And not only that, but I will also give you feedback on how you're showing up on the call with me. And typically it's not like you're doing very overt disrespectful stuff on the call with me, but there might be some subtle stuff, some subtle judgments, not asking permission for help and just steering the conversation in some kind of way. There's things that women do. So what I do is I will just lovingly, it's always lovingly, there's nothing to be scared of doing calls with me. We have a lot of fun on these calls, a lot of laughs as well. I really love doing these calls with women. It's such a great way to connect with a student or potential student before they join the academy, or even if they don't. It's just a great way to connect with a woman, where I just show you, here's how to show up as a woman. And it's not like being someone that you're not. I'm actually leading you out of your control patterns and into being who you really are underneath those fears that you might not even be aware of, right? Like if you're more guarded or you're hiding behind judgments in some kind of way, one of the things that women will often say on these calls, to me, is wow, I just feel so much more vulnerable and open, in general in the call, but also when I lead them into communicating in a certain way. It's wow, I just feel so much softer, so much more relaxed, so much more at ease. Feel so much more relief speaking this way, right? You don't even realize how much you're in your masculine energy, how much you actually might be unintentionally disrespecting a man subtly because you haven't been shown this. Men haven't been men with you. They haven't taught you this. So of course you don't know. And none of this is ever about blame for me. I am literally just there to take care of you and show you what no one else is showing you. And you're just suffering because nobody is there to lead you and help you in the way that you need. It's never supposed to be that way. The way it's supposed to be for a woman is, your father is teaching you so much of this, your mother, but she's also role modeling this for you, so that by the time you meet a man, you're just passed to your future husband to take care of you, and then you fully know how to do this. The ball has been dropped in your life because you were not shown this at all. And now you're stuck, and now you're suffering, and you're probably dealing with the passive-aggressive man, or you've dealt with a passive-aggressive man in the past, and now you need some help shifting it. Well, I am that help. I am going to help you do that, assuming that you will receive my help, assuming that you will actively want to take my help. And the way that you're going to do that, if you're interested in working with me, is you go below this video, you open up the description, you click on the link, relationshipofyourdreams.com, and then you watch the video on that next page, and then you press the button to book a call with me. And then we get on a call, and we have a whole bunch of fun. You'll learn a whole bunch. It's extremely educational. You actually typically, I'm not going to say always, but typically women experience a mini, sometimes a big transformation just on the call. Huge aha realizations and some kind of experiential shift by being led out of your control patterns. Can't guarantee that, but a lot of the time it happens. And then, of course, we'll also find out, can we help you in our program, in our academy? And if I believe that we can, and assuming, of course, that you would like that help in our program by that point, which typically, after speaking to me for 30 minutes, you will, then we can talk all about the program. You can ask me any questions about it. You can hopefully get to a point where you feel fully safe, fully ready to step into it. And then we start helping you create the relationship of your dreams. And you just take our hand and we just lead you into making all of these shifts. And it's hard. It's painful. It's scary, but you can absolutely do it. You can absolutely do it. There's no reason that makes you incapable. If you're intelligent enough and open enough to understand what I'm sharing in this video, and you've actually gotten to the end, congratulations, then you can absolutely make these shifts. You just have to be courageous enough to do it. You just have to have persistence. And I would absolutely love to help you. It would be my honor to help you. So if that sounds like you, you're ready, you're feeling that, fantastic, book that call, relationshipyourdreams.com. I'll see you there. And if it's not you yet, okay, keep watching these videos. They're going to continue to be very helpful for you. I provide so much for free because I want to help everyone in whatever capacity they are ready to be helped. And you are being misguided in so many ways by so many different people. And it's time that stops. It is time that you learn how to stop experiencing passive-aggressive men or a passive-aggressive man. That is no way to live. The longer that you tolerate that, the more masculine you are going to become, because you're going to have to constantly protect yourself from that. You don't want to protect yourself. The more masculine you become, the more guarded you'll be, the more shut down you'll be, the more resentful you'll be of just men in general, especially your man. The less trusting you will be, the harder it will be to shift back into your feminine energy. The shorter your life expectancy will be, because you'll be operating on stress so much of the time. It's just not a life for a woman. It doesn't have to be your life. That gets to be your choice. If you would like it to not be your life anymore, if you would like to have a healthy, loving, devoted, masculine man who cherishes you, who knows how to lead you, who knows how to take care of you, provide for you, protect you, including and especially from himself and his own unhealthy behaviors, who is motivated to shift those behaviors. A relationship where you just get to relax and be open and vulnerable and at ease and receive his care. You can have that. Let me help you. Book that call. I'll see you there.